This is an examination of the hidden human condition.
This is the Hidden Killers Podcast.
The Hidden Killers Podcast.
With Tony Bruschi.
Interesting development in the case against Bryan Kohberger. Of course, Kohberger accused of killing 4 college students on November 13th in the early morning hours in Moscow, Idaho. Madison Mogen, Kaylee Gonzalez, Zena Kernodle, Ethan Chapin, all brutally stabbed to death. Mogen, Gonzalez, Kernodle, all residents of a single property on King Road in Moscow, Idaho. Chapin visiting his girlfriend. 2 other students in the downstairs area left unharmed. From the beginning, we've been asking the question, could whoever did this have done this before? And then we got the suspect of Bryan Kohberger, and the evidence that was released, very damning, not looking very positive at all. Whereas we see the digital footprint, especially showing him at the house many times in the evening, almost stalking-like behavior. Then we also see his phone turning off at precisely the time the murders took place, then turning back on, and then him driving out of the city. DNA evidence on a knife sheath that genetically traced him to his father in Pennsylvania. And Pennsylvania is where the new breaking information comes from, as reported by News Nation. They are now looking in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania police are investigating whether Kohberger can be linked to other potential homicides, certainly expanding the scope of the current case against him. Although Kohberger has not yet entered a plea, his public defender in Pennsylvania stated in January that he was eager to be exonerated. Possibility of Kohberger's involvement in other unsolved murders, as reported by News Nation, has not been officially confirmed, but raises intriguing questions about the extent of these alleged crimes. Chris Cuomo revealing the exclusive information that Pennsylvania authorities were investigating Kohberger's potential involvement in other outstanding homicides. Mark Garagos confirming hearing similar reports, but also stating that law enforcement typically looks for links between suspects and unsolved murders in high-profile circumstantial evidence murder cases. Garagos also suggested that this tactic could either be an attempt to fill a vacuum when there's no clear motive, or a way to tarnish the suspect's reputation. And I think it's important to look at it from both ways, as Garagos is describing. Because, yes, we can look at this and go, oh, there must be really good evidence if they're looking into... There may not be at all. It may just simply be, what cold cases do we have that look similar to this in some way, shape, or form? And can we place the possibility that Kohberger was in those areas at that time? And if so, how close can we put him? Is he, and I'm not saying that in a way of like, let's connect him to a crime that he didn't commit, but more so, can we actually connect the dot to the other dot? And maybe not. In many cases, the dots may be on the same page, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they are connected directly. Jennifer Coffindaffer, who's on our show regularly, was also on to talk about that, explaining that police would be searching for similarities, as I just said, in the modus operandi of any unsolved cases that match the Idaho murders. Factors such as the choice of young, attractive co-ed victims, the use of a knife as a weapon, and the arrival and departure methods of the perpetrator could all be considered. Because you'd be looking, if someone's done this before, they likely in many cases had done it in a way that worked. To put it as bluntly and simply as possible, you stick with what works. Additionally, the timing of the crime between 3 and 4 a.m. could also be a relevant factor. So you look for all of those similarities, and if there are any. As of right now, we have no comment directly from the Moscow Police Department. or the Pennsylvania State Police. The probable cause affidavit supporting Kohberger's arrest reveals that phone records placed him near the Moscow house at least 12 times prior to the murders. Things like that will all be looked into. Of course, search warrants issued for Google, TikTok, the dating app Tinder, requesting information on 3 of the victims dating back all the way to January of 2021. So that does make you wonder a little bit, too, how far back could this go? From the time that Kohberger was in Idaho versus when he was living in Pennsylvania. Lots of unanswered questions at this point, but certainly an interesting development. Is it as big as it sounds? As of right now, I'm going to say no. It's a question we've been asking for a long time, and the authorities would be derelict in their duties if they did not look into those possibilities. It would be something that they would do no matter what. It doesn't necessarily mean, though, that there is a thorough, ongoing investigation into a specific murder or anything of that nature. From what we understand right now, it looks more like anything similar. And, of course, if there are, and that ball continues to move down that field, we'll let you know about it here first.
This is an examination of the hidden human condition.
This is the Hidden Killers
The
Podcast
Hidden Killers Podcast.
with Tony Bruschi.
Just when you think it's getting a little more calm in the sea of Kohberger, you hear this. We'll keep you up to date on that. Be sure to press subscribe wherever you download podcasts. You don't miss any breaking updates and discussions on the case as we have them for you right here. I'm Tony Bruschi. Stay with us.